Today, I wanted to talk about higher education, Bitcoin, and leaving behind a legacy for our little ones, our loved ones. If you are familiar with my work, even over a short period of time, you've probably come to realize that I believe that Bitcoin is freedom. I believe that Bitcoin is the first thing that humans have ever had access to en masse that has the ability to give our bloodline lasting qualities. I believe that Bitcoin has the ability to give en masse all humans the possibility for generational wealth, and generational wealth and freedom sort of go hand in hand. And so this is why I'm constantly, people, pounding the table on a Bitcoin only stance, despite the fact that I'm constantly being bombarded by comments and suggestions that one should diversify into other things. And why can't there be other cryptocurrencies that can work? And why shouldn't I play a variety of things like the stock market and Bitcoin or what have you? And the reason why I'm very stubborn about this, guys. I'm very adamant about a Bitcoin only stance at this particular time is because our window of opportunity to grab this freedom technology, this generational wealth technology, this thing that has blessed all of us with the ability to change the nature of our last name, to change the nature of our bloodline for generation after generation. This was the possibility that was only available to a very small portion of the human race. And now for the first time, it is available to every single human being on earth. But the window of opportunity to seize that is it's not open very big, and it's not open very long. And so it was very possible to get tens of thousands of Bitcoin in the early days for a few dollars. Then that window closed. Then it was possible to get thousands, not tens of thousands. That was out of the question for the majority of people. Then it became possible to grab thousands of Bitcoin for a few dollars. And then that window closed. And then there came the era where it was possible to get hundreds of Bitcoin for a few dollars. And that window's closed. And then we moved to an era where it was possible to get one Bitcoin, not hundreds anymore, but one Bitcoin for a few dollars. And that window closed. Now, most of the human race is locked out of one Bitcoin. They can't possibly get to a place of getting one Bitcoin. $70,000 Bitcoin locks out the majority of all human beings on planet Earth from ever having a hope of one Bitcoin. So one Bitcoin's window has already closed. This will go all the way to half a Bitcoin. That window will close. Quarter of a Bitcoin, that window will close. 1/10 of a Bitcoin, that window will close. And we're not talking about in generations it's going to close. It's going to close year by year, certainly quarter by quarter, certainly cycle by cycle, every 4 years. Bitcoin outprices two of those levels, outprices most people out of two of those levels. So with this disappearing, when I call Bitcoin a disappearing asset, it's from two angles. It's literally disappearing because every time I accumulate Bitcoin, it's gone forever. I'm not the only one who's socking it away forever. Do you understand? So it's disappearing. It's disappearing through loss. It's disappearing through the OVs of the world, accumulating it in a fashion where it will just never be available to the public again. It's disappearing, literally itself disappearing. But on top of that, the opportunity to grab this in any sufficient way that will mean something for your children's children's children, that's disappearing as well. And so why would you divert attention away from that to put it on something that is going to be with you forever in abundance? But Oliver, the stock market, dude, the stock market is not going anywhere. You will forever have the stock market. You will not forever not have this opportunity. You will forever have a shit coin. They make them by the dozens per every 10 minutes. You have no time for that bullshit. Your opportunity for generational wealth, for owning a piece of all the world's value. Do you understand where Bitcoin is going? Because I don't think you do. I don't think the majority of people really understand that, guys, all of the world's value will ultimately wind up inside of Bitcoin. And so the percentage of the network that you own right now, which no one can change, will be the percentage of all the world's value that you own. That is where I believe Bitcoin is going. That is a true Bitcoin standard. That is a true Bitcoin. That is a true world where Bitcoin is the base layer of value, the base layer of money. And so think about this. If you could get yourself to a place like Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy has done, where they own 1%, let's say, I'm going to round here, it's a little bit more, but they own 1% of the entire Bitcoin network. That means that ultimately, if my vision is true, and I believe it is, that Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy will own 1% of the entire world. Do you understand that if I'm right, and I believe I am, you don't have time to fool around with things that are going to always be with you? But Oliver, I might be able to make more than Bitcoin goes up. You still don't get it. That's not the freaking point. That's never going to get you owning a percentage of the entire world. That is just going to get you a few extra dollars. We're beyond this now. We're beyond making a few extra dollars. We're talking about owning a piece of the world. That 1% of the entire world that Saylor's MicroStrategy owns right now, no one can debase that. No one can do anything to make that 1% half of 1% or 3/4. It's not like you can issue more Bitcoin and dilute that 1%. That 1% is permanent forever, for all of eternity. Whatever my percentage is, no one can change that. I look at it that way, that I am, every time I add Satoshis to my overall Bitcoin stack, I am owning just a little bit more of the entire world's value. And that world's value will continue to grow forever. It's mind-boggling when you approach it this way, that you're purchasing the world. When have you and I been given the ability to own the world? But Oliver, these meme coins, Talk about educational level. You know what I'm saying? We don't have time. We've got to gobble up as much of the world right now as possible, because what is your $100 DCA going to do at $600,000 Bitcoin? I mean, it's not nothing, and anything is better than nothing, but that $100 is a lot more now without you depleting the effort by, I'm going to put a little bit in Dogecoin, I'm going to put a little bit on this bullshit over here. And you're missing the opportunity to own a little bit more of the entire world. This is the clearest indication possible that you haven't quite understood what Bitcoin really is. It's the world. Some of you might be saying, I think this dude has gone off his rocker. But no, I haven't, guys. I haven't. This is a law. You can't stop value from flowing to the most secure thing. No human being can stop that. No human being can stop value from ultimately seeking out the safest, most secure thing for that value. The hardest money, the hardest assets always attract the largest amount of value. And no human being can stop it. It's just a natural law that the hardest, the soundest, the most secure thing receives it all of it, all of it. So I hope you understand why I am a stickler for Bitcoin only. I'm not saying that there's not going to be some point in the future where you can do something else. I'm just saying that point is not now. You know, that point is not now. Nothing else